December 24, 2025, Christmas Eve. While most of the world prepared for holiday celebrations, Ukrainian drone operators were preparing for something else entirely: the largest coordinated deep strike operation of the war. At precisely 11:47 p.m. local time, the first wave launched. Within hours, targets across 3 Russian regions, some nearly 500 miles from the Ukrainian border, would be engulfed in flames. Oil storage tanks exploding, gas pipelines rupturing, military aircraft potentially destroyed on the ground. In one night, Ukraine would reach deeper into Russia than ever before and destroy targets that Russia never expected them to hit. This is that story. To understand what happened on Christmas Eve, we need to go back to where this all began. February 24, 2022. Russia launches its full-scale invasion. Ukraine's military, outgunned and outnumbered, faces an existential threat. In those early days, Ukrainian forces relied heavily on Turkish-made Bayraktar TB2 drones, effective but limited in range and payload. Fast forward to late 2025, and the transformation is nothing short of remarkable. Ukraine now produces over 1 million drones annually. They've developed indigenous long-range strike systems with names like Beaver, capable of hitting targets over 1,000 kilometers away. These aren't the commercial quadcopters we saw in the war's early days. These are sophisticated weapons systems using AI-guided navigation, terrain-following flight paths, and swarm tactics designed to overwhelm air defenses. But technology alone doesn't tell the whole story. What Ukraine developed was something more profound: a doctrine of asymmetric warfare that could challenge a nuclear superpower without ever crossing certain red lines. Throughout 2025, Ukraine had been testing this doctrine in the Black Sea, and the results were devastating. Ukrainian naval drones, essentially remote-controlled explosive boats, hunted Russian warships like sharks. One by one, vessels of the Black Sea Fleet were damaged or destroyed. The flagship Moskva, already sunk in 2022, was just the beginning. By autumn 2025, over a third of Russia's Black Sea Fleet was neutralized. The psychological impact was profound. Russia was forced to withdraw major naval assets from Sevastopol, the historic port in occupied Crimea, to safer harbors farther east. The Black Sea, once a Russian lake, had become a Ukrainian hunting ground. But Ukraine learned something crucial from these operations. Russia's integrated air defense systems, while formidable on paper, had critical vulnerabilities. Saturation attacks, sending waves of low-cost drones to overwhelm expensive air defense missiles, worked. And if it worked at sea, why not on land? The stage was set for Christmas Eve. 11:47 p.m., December 24th. The first drones cross into Russian airspace over Krasnodar Krai. Their destination, the Temryuk seaport on the Sea of Azov's eastern shore. Temryuk handles critical oil and liquefied petroleum gas exports, generating millions in daily revenue. More importantly, it's a logistics artery feeding Russian forces in occupied Crimea, just kilometers away across the Kerch Strait. The SBU's Alpha Special Operations Center had been planning this strike for weeks. Intelligence officers studied satellite imagery, analyzing patrol patterns, identifying air defense gaps, and calculating optimal approach vectors. They knew the port's layout better than most people who worked there. The drones came in low and fast, hugging the terrain to avoid radar detection. Russian air defense operators at nearby installations never saw them coming. 11:53 p.m. Impact. Surveillance footage later shared on Russian Telegram channels captured the moment. A flash of light, then another. 2 massive oil storage tanks, each holding thousands of barrels, punctured and ignited within seconds of each other. What happened next was catastrophic. The initial explosions triggered secondary blasts. Fuel vapor ignited, creating a pressure wave that shattered windows a kilometer away. Flames shot hundreds of feet into the air, visible from across the Sea of Azov. Within minutes, the fire had spread across 2,000 square meters, roughly half an American football field, and showed no signs of stopping. Emergency services scrambled. 70 firefighters responded, but containing an oil fire of this magnitude is like trying to hold back the ocean with a bucket. It would burn through the night and well into Christmas Day. Local residents posted videos on social media before authorities could suppress them. The comments were telling. Not anger at Ukraine, but questions. Why wasn't this facility better protected? Where were our air defenses? How did they get through? These were questions the Kremlin didn't want asked. Satellite imagery from Planet Labs, analyzed by independent experts, confirmed the devastation. Thermal hotspots glowed bright red on infrared sensors. 2 storage tanks completely destroyed, a third damaged, pipeline infrastructure compromised. Analysts at the Institute for the Study of War estimated the strike reduced Temryuk's throughput capacity by 20 to 30%. At current market prices and typical volumes, that translated to approximately $3 to $5 million in lost revenue per day. Multiply that across weeks or months of repairs, and you're looking at economic damage in the hundreds of millions. But the financial cost was only part of the equation. Strategically, every gallon of fuel that didn't reach Russian forces in Crimea was a small victory. Tanks immobilized, helicopters grounded, supply trucks sitting idle. And this was just the first target of the night. While Temryuk burned, 800 kilometers to the east, nearly 500 miles from the Ukrainian border, another group of drones was approaching their target, the Orenburg gas processing plant, the single largest gas chemical complex on planet Earth. Let that sink in for a moment. Ukraine was about to strike the world's biggest gas processing facility deep in the Russian interior, in a region that Moscow considered absolutely secure. To put this in perspective, 800 kilometers is roughly the distance from New York City to Nashville, Tennessee. Imagine a drone launching from New York and striking a target in Middle Tennessee with precision accuracy. The technical achievement alone is staggering, but it's the target selection that reveals the strategic genius of Ukrainian military planning. Orenburg isn't just big, it's critical. This facility processes 37.5 billion cubic meters of natural gas every single year. It extracts helium and natural gas liquids that flow through the Power of Siberia pipelines to China and Europe. The revenue from this single facility funds a measurable percentage of Russia's entire military budget. And there's another dimension: helium production. Helium isn't just for party balloons. It's essential for cooling superconducting magnets in MRI machines, yes, but also for pressurizing fuel tanks in missiles and spacecraft. Russia's domestic missile production depends on helium from facilities like Orenburg. Ukrainian drones struck just after midnight local time, December 25th. The initial impact ignited fires across multiple processing units, but the real damage came when flames reached the 3U-70 pipeline section, a critical component that purifies raw natural gas, removing hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide. When that pipeline ruptured, a massive gas fire erupted, illuminating the night sky for miles. FIRMS, the International Fire Information for Resource Management System that uses satellite data to track wildfires and industrial fires globally, lit up with alerts. Independent analysts could see the thermal signature from space. Plant operators had no choice. They initiated emergency shutdown procedures, partially suspending operations. Hundreds of workers evacuated. The governor of Orenburg Oblast went on regional television attempting damage control, calling it a minor technological fire. But the satellite imagery told a different story. Burn scars, structural damage to processing towers, scorched earth where secondary explosions had occurred. Independent energy economists analyzed the impact. Their assessment, a 5 to 7% reduction in gas output for the first quarter of 2026. For a facility this size, that's not a minor fire. That's billions of rubles in lost revenue and a meaningful dent in Russia's energy export capacity. The message was clear. Ukraine could reach anywhere. No facility was too distant, no target too secure. But Ukraine wasn't finished. While fires raged at Temryuk and Orenburg, a third wave of drones was inbound to the Republic of Adygea, targeting the Kanskaya military airfield near Maykop. This wasn't just any airfield. Kanskaya is home to the 272nd Aviation Base, which operates Su-34 fighter bombers, twin-engine, twin-seat strike aircraft that NATO calls the fullback. These are the planes that have terrorized Ukrainian cities throughout 2025. Equipped with precision-guided bombs, Su-34s from Kanskaya have struck targets in Kharkiv, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, and beyond. They launch from safely inside Russian airspace, release their weapons from altitude, and return to base, often without ever entering Ukrainian air defense engagement zones. Every Su-34 that Ukraine could damage or destroy on the ground was potentially dozens of future attacks prevented, potentially hundreds of civilian lives saved. At approximately 6:30 p.m. local time on December 28th, several days after the initial wave, explosions rocked Kanskaya. Witnesses on the ground reported air defense systems engaging, tracers arcing across the sky, but some drones got through. Videos geolocated by open-source intelligence analysts showed fires at the runway and near hangar facilities. Russia's defense ministry acknowledged intercepting 11 drones over Adygea that night, part of a nationwide total of 89. But the presence of fires, confirmed by multiple independent sources, suggested at least partial success. Ukrainian sources, speaking on condition of anonymity, claimed damage to hangars and fuel storage facilities. If accurate, this would significantly impact operational tempo, grounding aircraft for days or weeks while repairs were conducted and fuel supplies replenished. For Russia, Christmas Eve 2025 revealed uncomfortable truths. All the nuclear weapons, all the tanks, all the territorial expanse in the world cannot prevent a determined adversary from striking where it hurts most. Size doesn't guarantee security. Power doesn't ensure invulnerability. And for the rest of the world watching this conflict unfold, the lesson is clear. The future of warfare is here. It's decentralized, it's technological, and it's available to any nation with the ingenuity to develop it and the will to employ it. The fires at Temryuk, Orenburg, and Kanskaya have been extinguished. The smoke has cleared. But the implications of what happened that night will burn for years to come. This is the new reality. This is modern war. And it's only just beginning. If you enjoyed this video and would love to do a deep dive into videos like this, check our video, Ukrainian Missile Annihilates Russia's Air Fortress. Then, this happened. Link in the description below.